Hey, this is Football X Analytics. This video is our last video of a 12-part series of Super Bowl I. We analyzed the last half of the fourth quarter in this video. Links are in the description for the previous 3 quarters. I'm a likeaholic. Please give me a like and subscribe as well. Make the football gods proud. Let's do our final recap. Both teams punted the ball on their first possessions. Green Bay scored first with a 37-yard touchdown pass between Bart Starr and Max McGee. Kansas City's response stalled within field goal range, but missed the 40-yard field goal attempt. However, the Chiefs gave the Packers their first 3 and out and drove down the field to make it into a game with a 7-yard touchdown pass between Len Dawson and Curtis McClinton. Green Bay responded with a 14-play drive that accumulated with Jim Taylor's touchdown run. Before the end of the half, the Chiefs drove down the field and got off a 31-yard field goal attempt, which was good. First possession of the second half, Dawson, under pressure, threw an interception which Willie Wood would return to the 5-yard line. It took only one play for Elijah Pitts to drive in for a touchdown. Then both teams would stall early in their drives and punt, but the Chiefs' next drive ended with back-to-back sacks, forcing them to punt deep in their own end zone. Green Bay would lead a 10-play drive that would end with Max McGee getting a second touchdown of the day. Green Bay's defense clamped down again and forced the Chiefs to punt. But the Chiefs would get an interception by Willie Mitchell when Bart Starr's pass was underthrown. But the Chiefs could not take advantage of the opportunity and had to punt. The Packers would march down the field on an 8-play drive that ended with Elijah Pitts getting his second touchdown of the day. With 6:35 left to play, Kansas City Chiefs 10, Green Bay Packers 35. Don Chandler's kick is received by Burt Cohen, who returns it to the 25-yard line. First and 10. Pete Beathard is in at quarterback. Behind the center, looks to pass and finds Chris Burford for a 17-yard first down. Tackled by Bob Jeter. First and 10 on the 42-yard line. Pete Beathard looking to pass again. Pump fakes. He runs. 45. Gets a great block. Running along the sidelines. He runs out of bounds at Green Bay's 44-yard line. That's a first down. First and 10 in Green Bay's territory. Beathard going back to pass again. His pass goes way over the head of Mike Garrett. The next play isn't recorded, but there was an illegal procedure or a penalty on the Chiefs. So 2nd and 15. Beathard again, looking to pass. Whoa. Bob Brown is on him and gets the sack for 11-yard loss. Let's take a look at this play. Dave Robinson is blitzing, running on the inside. Bob Brown is right next to him and lined up against Dave Hill. Pete sees Robinson and runs back, but runs into Bob Brown, who makes the sack. Nice feet. And Pete Beathard had very little time to react. A long third down and coming up. 3rd and 26 on their own 40-yard line. Pete is looking to pass and looking deep for Chris Burford. But Bob Jeter gets his hands on the ball just enough to make it an incomplete pass. 4th and 26, and the punting unit is coming on. Joel Wilson's punt travels 42 yards, and a fair catch is called by Willie Wood on the 18-yard line. The Packers are preparing for the next drive. 1st and 10. Zeke Burkowski is in for Bart Starr. Burkowski hands off to Donnie Anderson, who runs left for 13 yards. First down. He was hit in the back by E.J. Hullab. 1st and 10 on the 31-yard line. Jim Grabowski runs up the middle for no gain. He is stripped of the football by E.J. Hullab. Bob Skoronski recovers the fumble. 2nd and 10. Donnie Anderson running the power sweep. He is brought down after a gain of 3 yards. Fred the Hammer Williamson was knocked out of the game. Fred blames it on getting kneed by Sherrell Hedrick, his teammate, but it looks like Donnie Anderson may have kicked him in the head. Before the game, Fred said he was going to bring the hammer on Dale and Dowler. But now the Packer players are making fun of him because he's the one knocked out of the game. Back to the action. 3rd and 7. Bratkowski is looking to throw his first pass of the game. Overthrows it. Carroll Dale was his intended target. Donnie Anderson is back to punt. He punts the ball 43 yards. The ball is down on Kansas City's 23-yard line. Pete Beathard rolls out right, looking deep. Trying to open Otis Taylor as Herb Adderley has fallen, overthrown it by at least 5 yards. 2nd and 10. Beathard is looking to pass again. He's getting pressure and brought down by Ray Nitschke for a 14-yard sack. Let's take a look at Ray Nitschke. He got the most tackles for the Packers in this Super Bowl. He attended the University of Illinois, where he played fullback and linebacker. Drafted in the 3rd round in the 1958 NFL Draft by the Green Bay Packers, 36th overall. His career stats include 25 interceptions, 385 yards, and 2 touchdowns. 16 sacks, 23 fumble recoveries. His 11 playoff games include 1 interception, 1 sack, and 2 fumble recoveries. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champion, 5-time NFL champion, NFL championship game MVP 1962, 2-time first team All-Pro. He's a Pro Bowl from 1964. In 1999, he was ranked 18th by the Sporting News of the 100th greatest football players. In 2010, he was ranked 47th in the top 100 NFL's greatest players by the NFL Network. He's a member of the NFL 1960s All-Decade Team, NFL 50th Anniversary All-Time Team, NFL 75th Anniversary All-Time Team, Wisconsin Athletic Hall of Fame, Green Bay Packers Hall of Fame, and the Professional Football Hall of Fame. Now back to the game. 3rd and 24 on Kansas City Chiefs' own 16-yard line. Beathard back to pass and throws another unreachable pass to Otis Taylor. 4th and 24. Chiefs have no choice but to punt. Jarrell Wilson's punt goes 54 yards. Willie Wood catches the ball, runs left, but is tackled for a 3-yard loss. There's a penalty on the play, clipping on Green Bay. With just over a minute to play, Bretkowski hands off to Jim Grabowski for 2 yards. 2nd and 8. Donnie Anderson running the power sweep to the right side. Runs 10 yards for a first down. 1st and 10. Donnie Anderson tries to run left, but is brought down by E.J. Hullum for a gain of 4 yards. And that's the last play of the game. Kansas City Chiefs 10, Green Bay Packers 35. The Green Bay Packers earned this victory. They dominated both sides of the ball. There's the 2 legendary coaches right there, Hank Stram and Vince Lombardi. Let's take a look at that last half of the 4th quarter stats. With the 8 plays in those 2 drives, Kansas City only made 1 completion, 2 sacks, and 1 run for 14 yards. Green Bay also only had 8 plays, but their numbers were a little bit better. Bretkowski's only pass was incomplete, but Donnie Anderson had 30 yards on 4 rushes, 2 of them for first downs. Bob Brown and Ray Nitschke both recording sacks. Hey, thanks for watching. I had a great time doing this project, and I thank you for your time and support, which includes the likes and subscriptions. My next video will include the 1st quarter of Super Bowl II. We will also work on the Green Bay Packers winning percentage and the Kansas City Chiefs winning percentage, and probably a few more highlights that will be discussed from Super Bowl I. Again, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. You've been warned. Make the football gods proud.